Hey everyone, it's Lexie. So in today's video I'll be sharing with you my spoiler-free review of The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. And this was the Tales and Teacups book club picks for the months of July and August, so if you are still interested in reading, you still have time to pick this up. In general, this follows a man, it's based off a true story, and it follows a man named Lael who is sent to Auschwitz, and while he's there he becomes the tattooist. So he's the one that puts everyone's number on their arm and his story there, and he ends up falling in love with a woman who is also at the camp as well. And this is loosely based off of the true story, so just so you're aware. But this is a very hard review for me to kind of talk about, because I feel like I'm not disvaluing this story. I think that's the biggest thing. I think needs to be, I'm not associating the story itself, what these people lived through, is any disvalue or wasn't as good as other stories, because it's a harrowing experience for anyone. It was more so stylistically. So the only thing that I really enjoyed about the story was just learning about these people's experience in there, and how they still, even with all this death and despair around them, they were still able to fall in love. But for me, the biggest thing was the writing of the book. I felt like it was very choppy, pacing, it was kind of all over the place, and the author did this very matter-of-factly. She didn't talk about, she kind of talked about this stuff at an arm's length and almost sugar-coated some of the stuff. For me, stylistically, when I say it's choppy, she would be the man was talking, period. He was speaking German, period. Lau thought this. It was just very kind of stop, go, stop, go, stop, go, and I didn't really like that. I felt like it wasn't, this author is actually a screenwriter, so it was, I think that kind of showed, it didn't flow very nicely. It was just told in a weird way, almost at arm's length, where it's I didn't I feel like when I read a World War II, especially a World War II novel that takes place in a concentration camp, I expect to have at least some emotional component to it, especially if you compare Night by Ali Wiesel or even The Nightingale. Those have emotional impact. Obviously Night is a work of nonfiction, but even the fiction books based on these, I have an emotional impact. Those books have had an emotional impact on me, and this one I felt I just wasn't really connected with the characters. The characters weren't even really fleshed out, in terms of personality. We didn't really get to know a lot about them, and it was just weird. They were very one-dimensional characters, and it was if you asked me to know, ask me to describe someone's personality in here, I'd be I have no idea, because they didn't really talk about that. And yeah, it was just weird, and I felt a lot of the horrors that took place in the concentration camp were very much sugar-coated. And there are some stuff in here that it's really upsetting, what happens in here, but it was I never felt when I read Night or The Nightingale, or even The Storyteller by Jodi Picoult, I felt the fear that the characters had with having to live in this environment, and I always felt that. Here, not so much. I was literally I had no emotional response to it at all, and I think that's pretty upsetting. For me, the afterword by these characters, Real Son, had a more emotional impact for me than the whole entire book did. And I think in this case, I feel the son would have done a better job writing his parents' story than the screenwriter, because it just lacks so much emotion. And if I'm especially with something as this horroring, complex, there needs to be that emotional aspect. You can't look at World War II and kind of not have emotion and kind of look at it very cold and all that. I think that's not how you do it. So I was really disappointed with this, actually. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars because I feel their story does have value, but this book overall, in terms of the literary setup of this, does not hold a flame to some of the other popular ones. So I'm really disappointed with this. I felt because it was everywhere, and I feel it was just let me down in a lot of ways. And like, it's so short too. Like, it covers, they're basically in the camp for 3 years, and it's crazy how fast it was going through. I was like, okay, I know like this happens when, and it's kind of getting to that point, and you would get through like one sentence would be like several months have passed, and it's like, I'm pretty sure there's some other important stuff that was going on. But yeah, so I have a lot of mixed feelings about this. So if you guys read this and you partake in the book club, I'm very interested to see what the discussion would be, because I feel like some people, like when I was looking at the reviews, some people thought like that's what a lot of people either really love this, or like kind of the more negative reviews kind of focus more stylistically, like the problems with the book, not the story of these people, but just kind of how the book depicted it. So yeah, I'll be very interested to see what you guys think of it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and let me know what you felt about this book. So yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye guys.